had 11 bouts, 6-5. And he takes on a young man who has only one loss, Andreas Fernandez. This young man's aspirations are great. Andreas wants to fight Danny Romero out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, world champion. And a lot of people asking, gee, is it too early? And Fernandez says, never too early. He would like it as soon as possible. But let's be objective. Is it too early?
I think it is, Henry, just to be honest with you. I don't think he's quite ready yet, even though he holds a title belt. You can't compare that to the world-class experience Danny Romero has had, not only his professional experience, his amateur experience as well. And Andreas is fighting the right level tonight, actually. I mean, with 12 pro fights under his belt, he's fighting a man 6-5. This is a good test for him tonight in a non-title fight. And no, Henry, to answer your question, I don't think he's ready yet, but he may be something very soon.
All right, well, this young man looks ready, at least for Andres Fernandez. Martin Gonzalez knows quite well that he will take on a very aggressive fighter, very talented young fighter from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Martin Gonzalez comes here tonight, and he's got the facial expressions. His body language telling us something. And now we wait the arrival of Andres Fernandez, and the crowd very well aware of who Andres is, and his entourage leading him into the ring. And there's your fighter, Andres Fernandez.
And Andreas Fernandez, Henry, interesting. He was known as totally a boxer in the amateurs. When he became a pro, he became a tiger, and now he's the WBB champion. Not defending that belt tonight.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Now there's the belt, of course, that they will fight for.
At 119
the WBB.
7 ounces.
Let's go to ring announcer
With a
Tomas
6-5
Sanchez.
record. Out of Mexicali, Mexico, Martin Gonzalez. In the red corner, weighing in at 121 and 9 ounces, the WBB bantamweight champion with an 11-1 record, 10 knockouts, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Andres Fernandez.
A popular young man throughout the state of New Mexico. Always comes ready to fight, always extremely well prepared. He's a student to the game, and his aspirations being as great as they are, let me ask you objectively, how far do you think he will take those attributes?
Well, Henry, he's on the moderate track right now. I wouldn't really say the fast track. They've had trouble matching him opponent-wise. He has not yet made a defense of that WBB belt, which he needs to do. But it's no fault of his own, Henry. He's gained a good reputation as a dangerous fighter, and nobody of name reputation really wants to step in with him yet. But he has good skills, very offensive fighter. If they can tighten up that defense a little bit, Henry, he can go quite far.
All right, and Nefi Quintana ready to officiate this bout here tonight. Nefi Quintana, internationally known for his skills as a referee, a football referee, a basketball referee. He has been around the block in Arkansas twice. This guy can do the job in the ring, Nefi Quintana. Not
only that, Henry, but also a professional boxing judge. He worked Evander Holyfield's fight against Dwight Muhammad Qawi in the first time they hooked up.
Boy, only Dan Cisneros can come out with that information.
Nefi's my hero.
Watching Andres Fernandez, very tactical fighter. He will score when the opportunity is there. Trying to feel out what kind of experience Martin Gonzalez has and what kind of fighter he might be.
Martin Gonzalez right away looks like a rugged type fighter, and that's right up Andreas Fernandez' alley. That's what Andreas likes. He likes to get in there and mix it up. He's defeated 3 Golden Glove champions on his way to the WBB title. Andreas Fernandez has. So he's just improving with every fight, and I like the way he fights. You got to love an offensive fighter. It's another crowd-pleasing style.
All right, he is with the purple trunks tonight, Andreas. Already looking for the big knockout here in the early round. Big uppercut there. Scoring again with the uppercut. Now feeling out his way to see what was going to work tonight and what's not. And already he's got a real good feeling of how he can score in this fight. The double hook with the left hand.
Yeah, you can see Andreas working nice, starting with the left hand and then dropping that right hand in there with power. That's Andreas' favorite combination of basic 1-2.
Andreas, the more he works, the better he gets defensively. And he knows when to take that chance, and he's not going to make himself carelessly vulnerable as he has in previous fights.
Right. When he won that WBB title against Elias Paulin at the Lujan building in Albuquerque, even though he was in full control, Henry, he suffered a terrible cut. I mean, blood just everywhere. He started with white trunks, ended with pink, and it was just but he fought through it. He fought through it, and when it looked like he wouldn't be able to, but he did. He went all the way, stopped Elias Paulin, and now he holds that belt.
Well, you can just put those fights in the experience bank, and when he comes out again, he's going to say, I did that one time, I'm not going to do it again. And he looks a little bit more polished here in the first round as a result.
Right, and Andreas has not been babied. He has not been put in there against tomato cans. He has been made to fight, like I said earlier. 3 Golden Glove champion class fighters. Elias Paulin was no pushover, so he's improving.
Now he scores with a left-hand, right-hand combination. And right now, Martin Gonzalez and his reach disadvantage really obvious here.
And Fernandez with 10 knockouts in his 11 wins, although he's not really a one-punch knockout artist. He's a guy that just wears you down, Henry. He's a lumberjack. He just starts chopping away. Next thing you know, the tree's down.
Well, we've seen very little from Martin Gonzalez in the first round. And Andreas Fernandez doing what he does best, working extremely hard. We'll see more of him and his opponent Martin Gonzalez in round 2. Stay there.
Monitor. Okay.
Rising Stars Boxing. And the featured fighter, Andreas Fernandez, 11-1, 10 knockouts from Albuquerque. From Guadalajara, Mexico, Martin Gonzalez.
And Henry, he probably knows a little bit about Andreas Fernandez. Andreas was a national champion of Mexico in the amateurs, fought in the Pan Am Games, won a medal there, and I believe he was in the Olympic trials for Mexico. You know, he's a man of a big name fighter in Mexico.
And Andreas throwing the big hands, trying to find the right combination of elusive Martin Gonzalez, showing his way defensively to us all, which is very, very impressive. Dodging punches. Straight left jab by Andreas. Very serious about improving his skills. And the jab, a big, big part of what he does in that ring.
Yeah, sometimes Andreas gives the perception that he's off balance, but that's the way he fights. He's just got a kind of a funny foot movement. It works for him, Henry. You can't argue with success, so I'm not going to degrade him on that.
He's a very busy fighter. How powerful, maybe that is suspect right now in the early part of his development, but he certainly is getting after it. He's a very entertaining fighter, as you can see, always throwing blows.
Yeah, the jury's still out on his punching power as far as knockout power, but he definitely hits hard. And you can see him, though, that it's nice because he does like to go to the body, and, you know, he's working his way into things. He doesn't just go out swinging like a wild man.
Now the big crowd here certainly enjoying this evening of Rising Stars Boxing. We're glad you're with us tonight here on CBS 13, doing the exact same thing. Boxing coming your way with regularity. Thank you to Lenny Frescas.
And Andreas pacing himself for 10 rounds here. You know, he's not letting it all out, but if he does hurt Gonzalez, you will see him change gears.
Andreas stays busy and he experiments in that ring. The more he does, the more he learns. And he takes a light right hand to the left cheek.
Andreas Fernandez, Henry, is stablemate of Las Vegas, New Mexico's Frankie Archuleta. Had some real gym wars building up to this card, and it's like a competition between the two, and it's done a lot of good for both of them. Lenny Fresquez has built a nice stable of boxers. David Santos, Andreas Fernandez, and Frankie Archuleta leading the way.
And he keeps them busy.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, and that's how they improve.
Well, not a lot of action there, but I guarantee you, you're going to have some coming back, so don't go away. Rising Stars Boxing continues shortly. Andreas Fernandez getting more than he expected from Martin Gonzalez as Gonzalez starts to step up the pace a little bit here in round 3.
Yeah, Henry, I have 2 rounds to none for Andreas. Of course, he's been the busier fighter doing the scoring here. And it's just Martin Gonzalez not scoring enough. He's just not willing to open it up. I don't know if he's saving it up. This is a 10-round fight, and he may be thinking about the strategy, the standard strategy, take it into the later rounds. But so far, it's even though not a lot of action, it's all Andreas.
Well, Andreas is 11-1, 10 knockouts. So if we said earlier that his punching power is suspect, well, that may not make sense. But he's not an overpowering fighter, I don't think, by any means.
Well, he can be. He's a chameleon, Henry. You watch and see in this fight he may show you. Out of nowhere, I mean, he'll look, just kind of cruise along, all of a sudden explode. That's how Andreas Fernandez fights.
But he has so much game and the will to win and a work ethic that he's going to be stronger and stronger, and you're going to see guys lights out early in his future fights, I'm sure.
Well, as we've seen in a few of his early fights, and he's just a worker. He's got a great work ethic. I think that's what Lenny Fresquez liked about this young man. And of course, Melchor Chavez training him, bringing him along, and that Melchor has that hard work ethic too, rubbing off on Andreas. So you know, he's such a pleasant guy too, Henry. You can't help but love the guy and root for him.
Well, in that last round, in the last intermission to the round at least, Andreas Fernandez, trainer and cutman, putting a little bit of work on the left eye, the bridge of the left eye, to make sure that that cut that he suffered in his most recent fight will not appear again.
And that was a terrible, terrible cut. There's a nice combination by Andreas right there. Andreas, so far, to me, more effective with the left hand. It seems to be working. He ought to be using that over time.
Well, the double right hand hooks, scoring at will. Maybe something new out of his arsenal of weapons here. Now the big left hand scores on the left hand again. Anything that works, and there's his overhand wheelhouse that rocks Gonzalez.
Andreas had Gonzalez so concerned about those right hands that he brought that left hand and landed solid.
Now Gonzalez scores with 2 rights. And now Gonzalez looks a little weak.
These guys have banged heads in there a few times too, Henry.
Gonzalez doing everything he can to stay out of the punching focus of the very aggressive Andreas Fernandez. But the bell rings and we will do more of this. Stay put. We'll be right back.
Well, they're really looking close at this guy.
Well, there you can see a beat-up Martin Gonzalez, and he is getting a lot of attention there in the corner, and so much so that you're asking, is he going to return?
I think the ring doctor gave the nod to let it go, at least another round.
Well, he took some big shots from Andreas Fernandez.
Yeah.
And we will see more action here.
We saw Andreas open up there in that 3rd round, Henry, and I got a feeling looking at Andreas right now that he looks like he wants to get this thing over with.
Fernandez at 123 pounds. Gonzalez at 124. Andreas had made it very, very public and very open and adamant that he wants to fight Danny Romero Jr. Left hand scores.
Well, if nothing else, Henry, he'll have the size advantage. I mean, he is natural featherweight, and Danny Romero would be coming up in weight. But I still think Danny Romero just too much experience right now.
And Andreas Fernandez, with a lot of experience of his own in 12 fights, knows what he's doing here against Martin Gonzalez, and he's looking to step it up and maybe put this thing away, if that is at all possible. Nefe Quintana gets up there and tells him some sportsmanship commentary. And one thing they fear often, any kind of fight, at any level is a headbutt.
And the way these guys are fighting, and look at Gonzalez, how he ducks his head when he steps in. I think that's what Andreas is very concerned about. Ooh, and Andreas just got nailed with a right. Oh, a bad cut on Andreas Fernandez.
Well, Andreas is vulnerable to that sort of thing. And now he'll step up his intensity.
Oh,
and here comes Gonzalez with some punches we hadn't seen before. And I'm not so sure Andreas Fernandez was not really hurt by that shot that brought the blood from the eye. Now with the left hand, right hand, and now they step it up at the center ring. Now the crowd very, very concerned about Andreas.
And Henry, I don't know if it's the same eye, but Andreas Fernandez has got to be reliving that Elias Paulin fight in which he bled so profusely for maybe 8 rounds.
Well, he has lost his movement and effectiveness and combination. Maybe a little preoccupied with what's going on with the blood, but he is rocked by a right hand by Gonzalez. Andreas does not look like the same fighter.
Well, I feel the momentum shifting a little bit here to Mr. Gonzalez.
Well, he's being schooled by his corner right now, and he is listening very intently, trying to score with the right hand. And now he'll miss with the right hand in the corner.
But one thing, Henry, in Andreas' favor is he's been through this. He knows they could seal that cut up like they did in the last fight, so he knows it's
well,
not
he's
like
scoring with the right hand. And here's a left hand.
Yeah.
And Gonzalez is looking like he's weary. Here comes Andreas Fernandez chasing Gonzalez now.
Oh!
A big hit. And Gonzalez is down. Andreas Fernandez, the gallant warrior, knowing that he was in trouble, knew quite well that he was not going to take this thing much longer, and drops Gonzalez.
They're going to have the doctor look at the cut, I believe. Referee Nefi Quintana telling the doctor to get over to the corner and look at Andreas Fernandez.
Now Gonzalez.
Oh.
Gonzalez is the one that looks weary, but the doctor is going to go examine Andreas Fernandez.
Oh, that would
and
be,
the boos from the crowd tells you how the crowd feels.
It'd be a shame if this fight was stopped now.
Now Andreas quickly turns away from the doctor and says, I'm ready to fight. That was convincing enough.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Andreas Fernandez in his finest form, knowing what's at stake. 2 big right hands, rocking Gonzalez.
The bell.
And the combination of the bell. And the crowd enjoying it here in Las Vegas. You're enjoying it here on CBS 13. We'll see more after this. All messed up.
I want to remind you of the programs that are being sold.
Rachel!
Please buy a program and help out this young group.
We go to round 5. Nefi Quintana will bring in the center ring. Andreas Fernandez gets one more little piece of information in his corner, and we are ready to fight. Now Andreas Fernandez still hesitating for some reason. Now we're ready. Now Andreas is bleeding from the right eye. Had a lot of people very concerned. Now he is going for the knockout punch, not taking any chances. Scores with the right hand to the head and to the body.
Andreas keeps missing with that right hand, but he sure is dropping it in there.
Well, Andreas has one thing in mind.
Destroy. Oh.
Trying to be protective and stay out of harm's way so his cut does not explode again. But the only thing that explodes is his right hand and left hand. And Gonzalez is down.
He may not get up. He's been punished, Henry.
Well, there you see Martin Gonzalez, and that is the story. Flat on his back. And Andreas Fernandez with a big smile and a big kiss to the big crowd. And greeted by Lenny Frescas.
And that's what I was telling you, Henry. Not the one-punch knockout, but the punishment. He chops you down like a lumberjack. That's what makes him dangerous and effective.
And the question here remains the cut vulnerability. And you think about his future, and if you're doing a little scouting report, and his future opponents are going to know about his cuts and how they could very well cause the end to a fight early. So we ask about that part of the development of this young fighter, who is very, very impressed, but at the same time we show concern for the cuts.
But also, Henry, if I'm his opponent, I'm thinking, I don't want to cut this man, because look what happens when he got cut. He turns it on and gets you out of there. So I don't know if it's really such a concern, although it can be against, if that cut was to open up wider, this fight could have been stopped. It would have been a shame.
And one thing about fighters, cut once, are you always cut? I mean, is it just part of the process here to expect that you're going to bleed?
You do build up scar tissue, and it is always a vulnerability. Yeah, once it happens, and twice it happens, it's something to think about. But actually, I think Andreas will just forget about that and trust his skills. Maybe they want to match him up against guys who don't come in like battering rams like this Salas was doing. But Andreas was impressive. Boy, once he turned it on, didn't I tell you somewhere along the way he would turn it on? And sure enough, Henry, another typical Andreas Fernandez performance.
Well, he answered a question. Does he have punching power? Well, just go ask Martin Gonzalez that question. It is the rhetorical question of the night. Well, Nefi Quintana in the ring, awaiting the final result, of which we already know, but officially, ring announcer Tomas Sanchez will read it to you and express it to you momentarily. Rising Stars Boxing here on CBS 13. Henry Tafoya alongside me is the most colorful, expert boxing commentator I've ever been around, Dan Cisneros.
Que se arrimen para acá.
We go to ring announcer Tomas Sanchez.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a minute 18 left in round 5, the winner by knockout from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Andres Fernandez. The WBB champ, Andres Fernandez, ladies and gentlemen.
Another good performance, Henry, for Andreas, and maybe like Bobby Chacon and those kind of fighters and Danny Little Red Lopez, he needs adversity to bring out his ferocity.
Well, he brought it all out. And we will bring out more Rising Stars Boxing when we continue in Las Vegas, New Mexico.